Joining me now from Washington, D.C., Director of Investigations and or Research at Judicial Watch, Chris Farrell. Chris, so we have Michael Cohen testifying this week. I don't know exactly what he's going to bring to the table, except a lot of cameras and a lot of coverage from the mainstream media saying there's a heck of a lot of smoke there when we know there's probably no fire. But then we have William Barr being briefed on the Mueller probe this week, which is fascinating to me, if you could be a fly on the wall. But when you step back and you look at this entire thing, Chris, wouldn't we know by now if there was some sort of major criminal activity taking place? A prosecutor would have come forward with that information by now. Don't you agree?
I agree. Look, if there's any case to be made, it would have already been made. Instead, you've got a guy like Cohen who's been squeezed so many different ways. He'll say anything you want him to say. He'll cop to being on the grassy knoll if he has to. There's nothing that he won't do to avoid either harsher punishment, longer jail time, bigger fines. His credibility is less than zero. They're going to ask him about real estate deals in 1994 or something. Who knows what this guy will say? And even when he does say it, are you going to bank on this? The guy, like as you mentioned in the intro, this is a guy who's been convicted of lying to Congress, and now we're going to put him in front of Congress again, and suddenly he's supposed to be absolved of all previous lying instances. It's crazy.
It is, and it almost doesn't make any sense to do so now at this point when he's about to go to jail.
Well, it's just a smear job. I mean, that's all it is a smear job.
It's an attempt to get some dirt on Donald Trump and make the president look bad. That's how this all fits together. But on the other side of the coin, here we are with Robert Mueller now, what, $15, $20 million into this investigation and coming up on 2 years of an investigation on ostensibly Russian interference in the 2016 election cycle. Well, we've been through another election, the 2018 midterm election, and now we're officially into the 2020 election cycle. On this other side of the coin, we, the people, we deserve to know what he has discovered or not discovered.
This is about the fifth or sixth time I've heard that a final report is imminent. So I'm not buying it, and I'll remind you that in mid-January, Mr. Mueller renewed the term of the grand jury for another 6-month period. I would not be surprised if Mueller and company didn't run this thing all the way out to the 2020 general election. So I know what we keep hearing about, oh, it's wrapping up, it's almost done, get ready for the report. But I've heard that now, like I said, several times before. I don't think he impaneled or extended the impanelment of the grand jury for 6 months for no reason. So again, I am deeply skeptical, and this has about as much logic attached to it as does dragging Cohen up to Capitol Hill to watch him lie again.
Real quick, Chris. It is a travesty. And again, we know the motivation. That's to make Donald Trump look bad. But what does a Mueller ending look like? Well, there are a few different endings. In fact, there's probably about, by my count, 8. He writes a letter to the Attorney General in some sort of summary. Could be a long letter, could be a short letter. He gives a detailed roadmap, almost maybe on an Excel spreadsheet kind of thing, for the beginning, middle, and end. He could issue a massive report with hundreds and hundreds of pages that reads like a novel. He could issue multiple smaller reports. He could finalize some indictments that he has on the table, some remaining indictments that we may or may not know about. He could refer some of these final cases to U.S. attorneys around the country. He could unseal. Remember, he sealed a bunch of indictments, or some sort of documents anyway, with the courts. He could unseal those. Or, Chris, he could do nothing. He could just fold up his tent, and the American people may never know. And so we have Adam Schiff out there saying, hey, we're going to subpoena Robert Mueller no matter what. We know the motivation of Adam Schiff. Of course, it's the same thing. He wants to harm the President of the United States. And by the way, if he subpoenas Robert Mueller, in my opinion, Chris, this is a violation of the separation of powers. On the other hand, because of all our taxpayer dollars spent, there's a modicum of me that agrees with Schiff that I would like to know what Robert Mueller's been up to.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.